Hi everyone, my name is George Wilson and I am a fourth year student at Northern Arizona University majoring in Parks and Recreation. In today's video I'll be discussing fire safety within public lands. Some of the key points I'll be covering include why fire safety matters in our forests. I'll also discuss how to properly start and fully extinguish a fire and some of the common hazards that could accidentally spark them. I'll also go over what no burn days are and how the Forest Service determines them, and why it is important to follow those rules. Finally, I'll explain how fire can also have a positive impact on the environment. By the end of this video, you'll have a better understanding of how we can all do our part to keep our forests safe and healthy. So you may be wondering, why fire safety is important? One of the biggest reasons is that it protects people and communities. When a fire starts in a forest, it rarely stays in one place. It spreads quickly throughout the land, affecting everything around it. Last semester, I took a fire ecology course, and one concept that really stuck out to me was the WUI. This term refers to zones where homes or other properties meet undeveloped wildland vegetation. WUI stands for the Wildland-Urban Interface. There's also another term called the intermix, which is when homes are actually within the forest itself. In both of these areas, houses and even people recreating in the forest are at high risk when a wildfire occurs. That's why it is critical to keep in mind whenever we build a campfire. A second reason fire safety is important is the preservation of natural resources. Our public lands provide clean water, wildlife habitat, and countless recreation opportunities. Severe wildfires can destroy these resources and harm ecosystems for decades. For example, extreme fire temperatures can damage soils, making it difficult for plants to regrow. Fires can also wipe out habitats, forcing wildlife to move elsewhere. And when recreation areas are damaged, people lose access to the very experiences that draw them to nature in the first place. By practicing fire safety, we help protect both communities and the natural landscapes that we all depend on. So before you make a campfire, it is important to know how to start one and properly extinguish it. The first step you'll want to do is check to see if there are any fire bans in your area. You can do this by checking the Forest Service website of the forest you are visiting, or pay close attention to the fire risk signs that are located on the sides of the road. When in an area such as a campground or recreation area, it is recommended to have fires in designated firing spots or above ground grills. Say if you're in a dispersed camping area, such like around here, that is not developed, use already made fire rings. If you create a fire ring, choose an area that is away from trees and hanging branches. Ensure that the area is flat and is not near any forest litter. So when you're in the process of creating a fire, you want to start with small branches and twigs plus pine needles, and make your way up to bigger branches and logs. When putting out a fire, remember these three words: drown, stir, and feel. When extinguishing fires, you want to use a lot of water, and you're going to want to pour the water directly onto the flames. A substitute, if you don't have water, you can use dirt or sand, but never just leave it after. When in the stirring process, you want to use a stick or shovel to move the ashes around. Remember to break down the bigger pieces of wood, exposing the hot glowing ambers, and pour water directly onto those hot ambers. The goal is to ensure that you do not see any glowing ambers. After this, hover your hand over the burn area to make sure you do not feel any heat. If there is still heat, repeat the drown and stir process. Make sure that it is cold and wet to the touch. No heat, no fire leads to no problem. If you want, you can also clean out the pit for the next guest who visits the site. Many common hazards can ignite forest fires, and some of them might surprise you. According to the National Park Service, nearly 85% of forest fires in the United States are caused by humans. These fires often start from unattended campfires or deliberate acts of arson. Another cause comes from towing chains. When chains hang too low, they drag along the ground, which creates sparks that can ignite dry vegetation and lead to roadside wildfires. Extreme weather is also a factor, with lightning strikes sparking blazes. Equipment malfunctions are another hazard, as broken electrical equipment can throw sparks onto nearby debris, making ignition easy. down power lines have also been a frequent cause of wildfires. Without caution, these sparks can quickly grow into disasters that destroy homes, lives, and forests. Let's talk about no burn days, also called burn restrictions. These are days when federal agencies prohibit open burning. Restrictions are put into place to reduce the risk of wildfires to protect air quality. Agencies consider many factors when deciding whether to declare a no burn day. If conditions are hot, dry, and windy, then fire danger is high. The U.S. Forest Service and the Bureau of Land Management first look at fuel moisture, which shows how dry grass, brush, or trees are. Next, they review the weather patterns, including wind speed, humidity, and temperatures. They also consider recent fire activity in an area. Lastly, they evaluate air quality, which helps limit pollution and reduces respiratory risks for nearby communities. Air quality is measured using the Air Quality Index. This is a scale from 0 to 500. A rating of a 0 to 50 is considered good, but higher levels can cause health problems, especially for more sensitive groups. Air quality is especially important when planning prescribed burns. This will be a topic that we'll cover in the next part of this video. Remember, before starting a campfire, check the status of a no burn day in your area online, or check the signs on the side of the road. Let's get one thing straight. Not all fires are bad or dangerous. When managed correctly, fire can actually improve forests and natural landscapes. In fact, there are many ways fire benefits forests. One important role fire plays is in the nutrient cycle. When plants and wood burn, nutrients are released back into the soil, enriching it and supporting new growth. Fire also promotes regeneration. For example, certain trees like pine rely on heat to open their cones, releasing seeds so that new plants can grow. In addition, fire clears out dead debris, creating cleaner, more open natural spaces. When it comes to forests, there are two types. There's the unhealthy forest, and then there's also the healthy. In an unhealthy forest, trees grow too close together, causing overcrowding. This makes it easier for crown fires, where flames leap from treetop to treetop to spread rapidly. On the ground, heavy buildup of pine needles, branches, and logs provide fuel that can spark intense wildfires and create a ladder fuel effect, allowing flames to climb into the canopy. By contrast, a healthy forest has great diversity with different tree species, open grassy meadows, and less dead wood littering the ground. These conditions make fire less destructive and the ecosystem more resilient. There are two main methods professionals use to restore and maintain forest health. The first is thinning. Forest thinning involves carefully removing some trees to reduce overcrowding. This open space and sunlight allows for new grasses and shrubs and trees to grow. The second method is prescribed burning, also called controlled burning. In this practice, fire managers intentionally set low-intensity fires under specific conditions, typically in late fall through spring when temperatures are cooler, humidity is higher, and wind speeds are lighter. These conditions make the fire easier to control while clearing out excess fuel. If prescribed burns isn't practical, managers may use burn piles instead. So over here, this is a burn pile. Branches, brush, and logs are gathered into piles and burned in controlled ways. This is especially common near homes, roads, or recreation areas where larger burns aren't safe. Burn piles are usually ignited in winter when snow or moisture prevents flames from spreading. Through practices like thinning, prescribed burning, and burn piles, fire can be a powerful tool for keeping forests healthy, diverse, and clean. So for my final thoughts, if you plan on taking a weekend trip to the National Forest or any of the public lands and want to have a campfire, remember, a single careless spark can harm an entire ecosystem, which can result in destroying wildlife habitat and contributing to air pollution, which negatively impacts human health. Practicing fire safety means protecting the environment and the natural lands that we depend on. By being responsible with fire, we keep nature and ourselves healthier for the future. Thank you for watching.